Or can you describe what you meant by leverage in the presentation you gave a moment ago?
So in year one, you would have put in at $500 a month, which again is $6,000 a year. The commitment to the life insurance company is this. You have to fully fund your account for the first 2 years. So $500 a month, $6,000 a year in year one, $5,000 a month, $6,000 that year in year two. So you've put in a total of $12,000. As a result of accomplishing this task, the life insurance company says this: we will allow you to now leverage. Leverage is just a fancy word for saying borrow. We will now allow you to borrow, take the participating loan. If you understand cash value life insurance products, we will allow you to borrow everything from year one. So it's now year three. Because you've met your obligations in years one and year two, we will now allow you to borrow everything from year one. So, okay, how much was in year one? Well, you had $6,000 in year one, so you're now going to borrow $6,000 from the life insurance company at year three. And again, I did say borrow. Borrow means there's going to be a cost associated with that. What's that cost? In this case, it costs 4%. So to borrow $6,000 from the life insurance company, it's at a cost of 4%. So in year three, you would put in, by year three rather, you would put in $6,000 in year one, $6,000 in year two, $6,000 in year three. So in total, you would have put in $18,000 by year three, plus an additional $6,000 from the life insurance company. So in total, it looks like you put in $24,000, but in actuality, you put in $18,000 of your money and you're borrowing $6,000 from the life insurance company. When we run through this is where we have to explain how an IUL works. When you run through the process of how an IUL makes its money, meaning there's growth inside of the general fund that we use that growth to then buy a one-time call option in the S&P 500 index. If you look at the average growth inside of the S&P 500 index, that average growth is right around 7%. So at year three, your $18,000 makes on average 7%. The $6,000 that we borrowed makes on average 7%. You get to keep the 7% growth on your 18, but I did say there was a cost to borrowing that 6,000. So you made 7% on this 6,000. If it cost you 4 to borrow it, when you pay back that 4% that you owed back to the life insurance company, you keep the remainder. That remainder is 3%. So in essence, at year three, your 18,000 made 7%. And you made 3% on someone else's money. It's called OPM. You made 3% on other people's money. And in this case specifically, you made 3% on $6,000. So at year three is where we start to separate ourselves from traditional IULs. How much money was made in a traditional IUL? In a traditional IUL at year three, you made 7%. In a MPI strategy, premium finance strategy, how much money did you make at year three? You made 7% plus 3% on someone else's money. At year four, you do the exact same thing again. But in year five, something special happens. At year five, because you met that obligation, again, remember the obligation from the life insurance company was you have to fully fund your policy for 2 years. Fully funded. So I'm able to borrow $6,000. Well, at year five, guess what happened? You just fully funded your policy again. So because you fully funded your policy for 2 years again, not only do you get to borrow $6,000 from year one, but you also now get to borrow another $6,000 based off the leverage that you just added. So now at year five, instead of only borrowing $6,000 from the life insurance company, you're now able to borrow 12. And this process starts to exponentially get bigger, to the point where the amount of money you've leveraged ends up being more than the amount that you've contributed. And let's do some simple math. 7% on 120,000, is that more or less than 3% of 540,000? And again, it's just math. 3% of 540,000 is far more than 7% on 120,000. So the growth of your account starts to exponentially take off because you're adding more and more leverage to it. I think there's a slower paced way to kind of break down how money grows. And I think that's what I'll commit to doing next week, if that makes sense. So I appreciate the question.